This is Cheyenne Valentine. I'm here today again with a new episode. Okay, in today's episode, I want to talk about something that has been on my mind. The subject of black women are aggressive and masculine, and how other races of women are docile and delicate, and how black men are ultra masculine, and how all other races of men are more passive. And I'm bringing this up because from studies, it's shown that when it comes to interracial dating, between blacks and whites, that more black men and white women are more attracted to each other. Or let me say this, I ain't gonna say more attracted. They date, or they get together. Black men and white women get together more than white men and black women, right? Then I noticed that when white men, the number one race of women that white men usually interracially date with is Asian women. So I was like, this is interesting. I didn't do investigations on Hispanics or Indians. I just focused on black men and white men. And I noticed that when black men usually date interracially is with a white woman, and when white men, usually, not all the time, the main people they go after is Asian women. And as a black woman, it left me feeling, well, why isn't there a large population of other races of men after us? Now, they are after us. They do find us attractive, but let's say, for example, if a bunch of Asian or Hispanic men were dating outside their race, and most of the time dating black women, then I would say I really wouldn't have anything to say or felt the need to investigate this. But there's not another race of men that are leaving their women at a large amount to date black women. I hope I'm saying this right. Other races of men do date black women, but it's not as many men of other races dating black women like black men are dating white women, or white men are dating Asian women. So let me break this down real quickly. So I did some investigation, and it was a white man. He was saying how white men like Asian women, and his issues with white women. And underneath the comments, I started to read the comments, and a white woman said, don't give up on us. We're the most desired women in the world. Why would you want to leave us? So that comment let me know that white women think or have noticed that they are put up on a pedestal worldwide, and that they might have a little arrogance about them. So that's something that I kept in the back of my head. Then it was some white men on there saying that you white women are, you age quickly and get wrinkled and you're getting fat, and they were just going in on these white women and saying how the Asian women are docile and feminine and petite. I noticed they kept saying that the Asian women were docile, feminine, and petite, and they started bashing the white women. And it was so shocking to me, because I'm like, this is how the black men bash black women. How they talk about how great, like the Tony Sotomayers and other people, how they talk about how great white women are, and they make black women feel like shit, and they do a comparison. This is what the white dude was doing to the white women, but it wasn't as harsh. See, black people are very harsh with each other, so black men go in on black women on YouTube, and they're very harsh. But white men, I don't see too many videos with them really going in on the other race of women, because other races of men have enough sense and class and respect in their race and their women to do that. Black men seem to don't. So that I was shocked to even find a video where white men were even saying they preferred Asian women, or why they like Asian women. But anywho, it was so shocking how they were talking about white women like they wasn't shit, and how Asian women were so better. It was like, I thought I was saying deja vu, but with the racist reverses. I'm used to black men talking shit about black women and upholding white women, and it was so crazy to the point where a black woman commented beneath saying, well, this is how black men talk about white women. And I was just stunned. And so then it clicked. This is what's happening, everybody. This is what I want everybody to know, and I want black women to know, and everybody. This is what I think. Naturally, in nature, men are feminine and men are masculine, women are feminine. And a man wants to be with a woman that's more feminine than him. He wants to be with a feminine woman. She cannot be more masculine than him, or he don't want to be more aggressive than him. He has to be masculine, and she has to be feminine. Now follow me. This white guy said that the reason why he liked Asian women was because you can't help but to feel masculine around them. Follow me. He said, you can't help but to feel masculine around Asian women. And then I remember someone saying that this white guy was saying, he had a video, another white guy had a video saying why he liked black women, and he named some good things. Then he went and said, well, black women are more masculine than other races of women. And of course, a lot of black women got upset. And one black woman made a point. She said, well, the reason why is because black women have had to take the role, have had to be masculine in their environment, which I totally agree. We grew up in an aggressive environment, poverty, you know, gunshots, people trying to rape you. You got to work just as hard as a man financially. You know, sometimes you don't have food on the table. I grew up in the hood on the west side of Chicago, and I literally had a man ask me, let me say this. My grandmother got, my cousin and my grandmother got robbed by a man. My mother almost got robbed by a man. My mother had an abusive boyfriend. I know many women in the hood that had abusive boyfriends. A lot of them grew up and, you know, didn't have enough food for their kids. The men walked out. Most women I knew had to work or they was on food stamps. You know, it's just... a lot of them have been sexually assaulted. Just growing up in a very aggressive environment, in poverty and misery, and just I can't even explain it. So that's going to make you naturally, I think, I don't know this for a fact, be more aggressive and build up to maybe some levels of more testosterone to defend yourself. I had a man come up to me and asked me to watch him jag off for $100. Meanwhile, this man lived in a shelter, so I knew he didn't have $100. What he was gonna do is have me watch him and then probably rape me. You know what I'm saying? I've been called bitches by black men. You know, just verbally assaulted for very little things. And so I'm just saying this to let you know that a lot of black women grew up in very aggressive environments, and they end up being aggressive to protect themselves. So when he said that black women were more masculine, it upset some black women, but from a man's perspective, ladies, some black women are more masculine than other races of women. I'm gonna repeat this again, and I'm gonna take the word masculine out. I'm gonna say more aggressive and straightforward. I don't like the word masculine, you know, when it's pertaining to black women, because I don't think we're masculine. Some of us are just more aggressive, and we have to, you know, especially if you're a single mom, you left to raise the kid by yourself. You're taking the role of the male and the female. The male role, you know, going out and provide, protect, and you got to be feminine and nurturing. So you're gonna have to be more aggressive. Okay, so. This is what it boils down to. Black people overall, black men and black women are more aggressive to me than most of any other race in America currently. We're not more aggressive than every other white person or every other Asian person or every other Indian person. But I'm saying, I'm just going to generalize a little bit here. So don't come in the comment section saying that's not true. I've seen some aggressive white people. I'm not saying it. I'm saying black people have grown up in a very aggressive environment. Some black men to me are overly aggressive. It was one guy, he's from the Bronx, and he was talking with his hands, and he kept saying, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, you know, when I did 20 years, and that's too overly aggressive. They have one guy say he went to jail for homicides, and how his mannerisms was too fucking aggressive. Some black men are too aggressive, and that's a turnoff. And that's because they grew up in a very aggressive environment where they have to always be on edge, get jumped on, they have to fight a lot, protect themselves. So you become hyper masculine, hyper aggressive. So some black men are hyper aggressive and hyper masculine. Okay, follow me. Some black women are overly aggressive from being in that same environment. Understand, black men and black women grew up in the same environment, so therefore they both been affected, and they're both going to come out usually both kind of aggressive, more aggressive than any other race. If you reverse it and you put Asians in the environment we grew up in, they're going to come out like that. The women are going to be a little bit more aggressive, and the men are going to be more aggressive. Now follow me. I heard a white guy say that the reason why he think you see more black men with white women than you see white men with black women. He says not that white men aren't attracted to black women. It's because black women find white men too passive. And I think some black women do. See, black women, we're at a disadvantage either way we go. I'm going to tell you why. Because we could easily, jump over the fence. Because all we got to do is just be ultra feminine and pursue other men. I mean, it's easy. Be around those men and just be feminine. But this is the problem. A lot of black women grew up in the hood around overly masculine black men and when I say overly masculine, that's not a positive thing. That's a negative thing. Because some black men are too aggressive and masculine, and so they give us a false perception of how a man should behave. We think a man should be, not compassionate, because rest for sure, ladies, if a man's gonna be loving and caring, he has to have some femininity in him. He has to. If he's going to be a good father and and give you a hug and kiss you on the cheek and hug his kids and spend time with them and care about them and protect them, he has to have some, not feminine energy, but he has to have some softness to him. He's not going to be able to behave and listen to you and love you and even show and even cry if he's just overly masculine. He's not going to be able to show those emotions. Okay. He's just going to be a hard leg. So black women, we're used to men who are not natural, who are overly masculine. Now, when we try to date outside our race, black women, we try to date, other races of men, they come off too passive. And so we have to deprogram ourselves. It's the only way. We have to maybe force ourselves to be around other races of men and get used to their personalities and their mannerisms. Because if you grew up in the hood and the projects and you've been around black men all your life, and those black men who grew up in that area, I'm gonna prove to you, it's not even about the race. It's the way these people grew up. Because some black women have been around black men who grew up. Let me take this back. If there's a black woman who grew up in a hood around overly aggressive masculine black men who had a rough life, and that same black woman grows up, she goes and she hangs out with a black guy from the suburbs, he's gonna come off quote unquote soft to her. He's gonna come off too passive because she's used to a dude, that's overly aggressive, that's ready to fight at the drop of a hat, carrying a gun and all this shit, and he's probably acting like that because he had to grow up fighting and protect himself. And so there's always a cause and effect. You grow up in a shitty ass environment, having to fight all the time, protect yourself. The effect is you probably be overly aggressive and on edge and real defensive. Overly aggressive, right? So black women, we're at a kind of disadvantage because in order for us, if you're used to overly aggressive black guy who grew up in the hood or whatever, the only man that you probably gonna find more attractive than him is damn near a guy who's as aggressive as him or more. That's how this works. As aggressive or more. The men who are less aggressive than the men you grew up around, you're gonna think that they're soft and you're gonna think they're too passive. Okay, so when that white man said that black women think that white men are too passive, I think a lot of black women do. Some of you might deny this, but it's the truth. They come off probably a little bit wimpy to you, and that's why I've heard some black women say like Italian men, because Italian men I think come off a little bit more aggressive, and maybe some of the other white guys to some black women don't come off as aggressive. Okay, well, let's talk about white men for a second. The reason why when a white guy said that you can't help but feel you can't help but feel masculine around an Asian woman, that's why they like them so much. Asian women, to me, I think overall come off even more feminine than a white woman. So you see how black men always say white women are more, they like white women because they're more feminine than black women? Now, let's address this. Black women do come off more aggressive than other races of women, and for reasons I stated earlier in this video. Growing up in an aggressive environment, the circumstances have made them more defensive, more aggressive, having to be more of a, I ain't gonna say white women are go-getters, but just being more aggressive overall, their mannerisms. Okay, and because of this, what black women need to understand is that no man likes a masculine woman or aggressive woman. I'm gonna try to use aggressive more so. Aggressive woman. So all the men who, now black men can maybe black men and black women, since they both grew up in an aggressive environment, can understand each other a little bit better and kind of handle each other a little bit better. Okay, but another race of man, he's not gonna go for a woman that's more aggressive than him. Every man, no matter how aggressive or how passive, goes for a woman that's less passive than him, or a woman that's very feminine. I'm gonna say this again. Every man, no matter what race, okay, goes for a woman that's more passive than him and that's very feminine. Okay, so to a black man, white women seem more passive and more feminine than black women. So that's why some black men are chasing after white women. Okay, follow me. White men, no matter how passive they may seem to you, they are a man and they want to feel masculine around a woman. So to them, Asian women are more passive and feminine than white women. So where does that leave black women? The only way for another race of men to will the only way for another race of men will put the only way that another race of men will pursue black women damn near over their own women, and the way that black men talk about white women, and the way that some white men talk about Asian women and shit on a race of women, the only way that another race of men would shit on his women for a black woman is if he's more aggressive. And no, if only way he would do that is if his women are more aggressive than black women. Follow me. So let's like Hispanic men. Let's just pretend like Hispanic men grew up in an even more aggressive environment than black people, and they women were more aggressive than black women, and their men was more aggressive than black men. I'm gonna tell you what would happen. The Hispanic men would be bragging about black women and saying how feminine we are and how passive we are and how they women are aggressive, act like men, and they can't handle it. That's what will happen. And you know what would happen with black men? Black men would not be dating Hispanic women. They will say that Hispanic women were too aggressive. See, let me tell you something, ladies. The most aggressive women are going to always be the last choice. I'll repeat this again. The most aggressive, so if you have 5 women, the men are going to see, men naturally, if a man wanted another man, he would date a man. Men want something feminine. If he want another penis, he would get another penis. If he wants somebody with biceps and triceps and has his own behavior, he would get another man. If he's a heterosexual man, he wants a feminine woman. He wants a woman who's very feminine and more passive than him, because a passive woman makes him feel like a man. If he can't feel like a man around you, ladies, then he might as well be with another man and be somebody's bitch. Okay? He wants to be with a woman, a feminine, be as delicate as a flower. That's what I always say. So if you have 5 women, whichever woman is that comes off the most aggressive, she's gonna be the last pick. The most feminine woman is the one gonna be the first pick, because he's masculine. He need that yin to his yang. He needs something feminine. Okay, so that's why black women, it ain't because we don't look good or something's wrong with us. It's because we come off more aggressive than other races of women, and the only kind of man that would pick us over his race of women would be a man that was more aggressive than black men. If there was a man out here that was way more aggressive than black men, then that man would look at us as wow. He would say, wow, black women are more feminine than our women. Black women are more passive than our women. We're going to go with black women. And then that race of men, and then black men would damn near be trying to, black men wouldn't date that man's woman, because, and what you gotta understand about black men, just because black men are super aggressive, some of them, don't mean they want an aggressive woman. See, it doesn't matter how aggressive a man is, follow me, or how passive he is. He still wants a woman that's more passive and more feminine. You know what I'm saying? So this is why, so basically, long story short, that's why white men tend to, some of them like Asian women, because the Asian women seem more passive and feminine than white women. And with black men, white women come off more passive and feminine than black women. And the reason why these two, now follow me. Now, some whites and some Asians did not grow up in the same environment as some blacks. So they're not as aggressive as blacks. So growing up in a growing up in a nice environment where you don't have to be super aggressive, kind of benefits the woman more than the man. This is the case for whites and Asians, because if you're that nice peaceful environment is going to make the women be very docile, and all men of all races, no matter how aggressive they are going to want a docile woman. But for the men that grew up in kind of a peaceful environment, he might come off kind of soft and too passive to a woman, because let's reverse it. Women want a man that's more aggressive than them. Women want a masculine man. So if Asian men and white men come off kind of passive, that's going to cause women to not look at them as a masculine figure or as aggressive, and they're not going to want them. Hence, black women, some of them look at some white men and Asian men as too passive and soft. However, the Asian and white women who are very passive and soft like the aggressiveness of black men. You see what okay? So that's why you're gonna, until black women we can reclaim. We're feminine, okay, but some of us, we haven't been allowed to be feminine because we have been left alone to raise kids by ourselves. And imagine, I don't even have kids, but grew up in a bad environment, and we have that. Some of us have that aggressiveness, and so I just want to tell black women, we need to heal from the issues we have been through that have made us overly aggressive and everything like that, and and pick men who allow us to be feminine. Pick men who take the role of a real man, who can be a provider and protector, so it can allow us to calm down, be less defensive, and don't have to be so aggressive. Because when you got to provide and protect and be the woman and do all that, the provide and protecting should be for the man. But since we got to take, some of us got to take that role and the woman's role, you know, some of us are kind of aggressive. But I'm trying to tell black women that no man likes an aggressive woman like that. Men always seek a woman that's super feminine. So I'm going to repeat this again. So since black men and black women have grew up in a very aggressive environment, it has kind of benefited black men as far as with other races of women, because they look at them. And how I know this is because a white woman went, okay, so the video the white man made talking about Asian women are better than, or, you know, why white men like Asian women. The white woman said, well, you know, her man is, she was with an Asian man. She said she was sick of white men because they're too passive and they're wimps. Now follow me. Now I bet you, and she said that's why we leaving you for Asian and black men. Now I don't know how Asian men act or whatever, but I know black men come off pretty aggressive, and some white women might like that, because see, take an Asian and white woman. They might be used to the aggressiveness of their men, but once they're around a aggressive black man who grew up in the hood that's real aggressive, they might get more turned on by his behavior. Because women, no matter how, let me tell you, so no matter how aggressive or how passive a woman is, she's gonna always want a man that's more aggressive than her. So that's why black women, even though some of us can be aggressive, we still like a man that's more aggressive than us. So that's why black women have nowhere to turn to if we hold on to too much aggression, because the men who aren't so we're used to aggressive men like black men. The only way we would want a man, pick a man over a black man is if okay, let me take that back. If there's a black woman who grew up in a very aggressive environment, okay, the only way she'll want a man that's not a black guy is if he's more aggressive than the black guy. Follow me. He has to be more aggressive because that's what she's used to. The only thing for black women to do at this point, you're not going to really find a man that's more aggressive than a black guy. You're just not. And you don't want to, because he has gave you a false sense of masculinity. The black man that we're used to is over masculine. So by him being over masculine, no other race of man can really measure up to him, and he comes off soft. Okay, so what black women we have to do, we have to deprogram ourselves. Okay, and as far as what we like in a man, we have to understand that the black man is some of the black men are overly masculine, and that has distorted and harmed us, because now that's what we used to, and that's what we desire. We have to understand that that is a defect, and he has been made overly aggressive because this is aggressive as environment, because he had to protect himself and survive. So he has became overly aggressive to survive. Follow me. Okay, so as black women, in order for us to find other races of men attractive and really desire them truly, we have to deprogram ourselves and understand that black men are some black men are overly aggressive, and that's not something you should desire nor want. Thugs and women beaters and all that, and a man who don't want to show affection, that should be a turnoff to us. We have to deprogram ourselves and change and understand that other races of men have a nice level of masculinity, and that is a man that grew up in a peaceful environment. He has a perfect amount of masculinity. Okay, we have to start liking that kind of masculinity, and also we have to become as feminine as we need to. We need to become very, very feminine. We then need to become more feminine than Asian women. Okay, in order to do that, we need to work on our femininity, and we need to find a man that can take the role as a provider, protector, and be the man of the household, so it can allow us to be the woman. And to be nourishing and loving and caring, and not have to worry about bills, and not have to worry about stressing and you know, if our child come out, we're gonna have to protect them because we live in a bad area, and we're gonna have to fight them off our child. But we need a man that's gonna put us in a nice area that we could, so that our kids can live in peace, and we have to worry about them fighting and being jumped on and shit, and we on edge all the time, being the protector and the mama and the provider. That's too damn much. Okay. So black women, that's what we need to work on. We need to deprogram ourselves, okay, and understand that a lot of these black men are overly masculine. That's not what you go for, and we need to basically work on our femininity and find a man that can allow us to be feminine, can take the role of the provider and protector, so that can allow us to be a woman. Okay, so this kind of to me explains why you see more black men dating white women to black men, just simply white women to black black men see women as more feminine than black women and more passive. And white women, to me, are, because they didn't grow up in an aggressive environment the way some black women did. Okay, that explains it. And this is why you see less black women dating white men, because to black women, white men are too passive, and that's because black women have been ruined by being around overly masculine black men, to where when she sees a white man, he does come off too passive, and white men see black women as too aggressive, because all men, no matter how aggressive they are, no matter how passive they are, they're going to always want a woman that's more feminine than them. So that's why white men are looking at Asian women over white women, because Asian women come off more passive than white women. Okay, so this is why it's like that. Because black women, it's not because you're not desirable, it's not that you're not beautiful, it's just that when a group of people grow up in a very aggressive environment, the man usually comes out on top, because no matter how aggressive or how passive a woman is, she's going to want an aggressive man. So black men are going to always seem more desirable to other races of women. Other races of women are going to always see black men as more aggressive than their men, and that's going to make them want them. Okay? And black women, we're at a disadvantage because no race of man wants a woman that's more aggressive than him. And black women, because of the environment we grew up in, we do come off more aggressive than some other races of women. And so those other races of men are going to be like, ew, she's too aggressive. I want a woman that's more passive than me. And then the races that have grew up in a peaceful environment where they did not have to be super aggressive, the women usually come out on top, because to other races of men, she comes off feminine and delicate. That's why even though black men are super aggressive, they go out to other races of women. But the men in those environments come off too soft to women who grew up in aggressive environments. Okay, so just remember, ladies, men, no matter how passive or aggressive, they always want a woman that's more feminine than them. So just be as feminine as you can. You got to be feminine. Okay, you got to work on it. And women also understand, no matter how passive or aggressive a woman is, she always want a man that's more masculine and aggressive than her. Always. She's always going to want that. And that's what black women, we're going to have to, we're at a disadvantage, because we're used to this ultra masculine black man who grew up in the hood, and he's overly masculine. So now we can't get used to regular masculinity. Regular aggressiveness or regular masculinity seems soft to us. So we got to deprogram ourselves and understand what a real man is. Okay, till next time.